Well, here we are on our second video. Once again, Mexico team in isolation here in Pandemic Hall, and we're getting, I guess, somewhat used to being close together. But you know, it has its blessings, but also has its strains. But we're glad to be here, and I thought I'd bring one of the students that was on the trip to talk about some things of how the trip impacted them, and I thought you'd be interested in that. And well, it's supposed to be Wil Manchester. Oh, wait, Wil, what are you doing back there? Get up here. Well, here's Wil Manchester. Wil, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Well, I'm Wil Manchester. I'm a freshman mechanical engineering major who lives in Davis Hall.
All right, and you and I, along with 18 other people, went to Mexico for a spring break mission. That's why we're in isolation now. But at any rate, why don't you tell everybody that's watching a little bit of what we did in Mexico?
Absolutely. So the main purpose of our mission trip was to support the local church of San Luis Potosí. So the first 2 days we worked alongside a lot of different church locations, leading worship and sharing our testimonies, just supporting the local church body. And then as we got into the week, we had a work day and we went out to a maximum security prison. We spent a day at a rehabilitation center for drug addicts. We went to a hospital, out to the wilderness and stuff like that.
Yeah, so particularly a lot of the students were impacted by our day at the rehabilitation center and our day at the prison.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we spent 12 hours in this rehabilitation center with 36 guys who were on a 6-month program, which means they couldn't leave their quarters and the main dining room pretty much for 6 months. They had to stay in those 2 rooms. And it was really impactful for us to see how, even though they had lost their freedom physically, a lot of these guys had an abundant freedom in Jesus Christ. And the same at the maximum security prison. These guys were locked up, a lot of them, for their whole lives for doing some really bad stuff. But after the redemptive power of God, we could see how the freedom they had through Jesus Christ. And for me personally, because I'm a free man, I'm not locked up anywhere, but am I in bondage to my sins, or am I letting Christ give me the freedom that these guys had in isolation?
So you talked to a couple of guys, particularly at the rehab center. So tell us a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, there's this one guy from San Antonio named Homer, who he took me onto the roof of the rehab center under like special permission, and we just looked out over the city and talked about a lot of the guys who tried to escape the rehab center, and kind of especially the first 15 days while they were trying to detox, how hard it was for them to be isolated like this.
You know, we were there for like 12 hours, and it seemed like forever.
It did.
I mean, we were just kind of in this one big room with these other guys. And now we got here, and now we've kind of been in this hall.
It's true.
And some of us are going to be here until the 28th of March. So how has that made you think about this idea of freedom?
Yeah, the day in the rehab center really helped prepare us for this, because we could see the joy that these guys had even though they were locked up, and now we kind of get to know what it feels like to experience true freedom.
Well, freedom, yeah. Perhaps where you are, you're feeling a little bit like you're not able to do the things that you're used to doing. And certainly if you're an American or living in America, you're used to freedom. It's one of our key values. But maybe this makes us take stock of what we really think about freedom and what freedom really is. Perhaps it helps us realize that real freedom perhaps isn't about being able to go wherever you want to go, or buy whatever you want to buy, or anything like that. Perhaps real freedom is like what Wil's friend Homer in the rehab center is discovering, that real freedom comes when we are in relationship with Jesus Christ. I hope maybe during this time of your own isolation, as the world and as our country figures this out, that you will experience once again, or maybe for the first time, the freedom, the true freedom that only comes when you're in relationship with Jesus Christ. We'll see you next time.